You have heard of Goliath, but who were the other giants of lore mentioned with the same breath of awe seen in the Bible? Were they the brothers of the giant of Gath, or did they have no relation to that infamous giant? Let us explore this theory in this video. Goliath, the towering behemoth, defeated by young David with nothing but a sling and a stone. But did you know Goliath wasn't alone in his gigantism? He had brothers, 4 of them, each a legend in their own right. You see, these weren't just ordinary men, they were the Rephaim, a race of giants spoken of in ancient texts, shrouded in the mists of time. But are we really certain of this number? Were they not 3 or 5 rather? On his way to his iconic battle with Goliath, David took 5 smooth stones, and some have inferred that each stone was for Goliath and his brothers. According to some sources, there's no definitive answer in the Bible about the exact number of Goliath's brothers. However, many scholars agree that Goliath had at least 4 brothers based on various biblical references. The 4th century BC Book of Chronicles, for instance, mentions that Elhanan, the son of Jair, killed Lami, identified as the brother of Goliath, the Gittite. This connection is made by deriving the name Lami from the latter part of the word Bethlehemite, Beit Halami. The discussion about Goliath's siblings, whether they were 4 brothers or 4 sons, involves an analysis of biblical passages and their translations. The key verses in question are 2 Samuel 21 verses 22 and 1 Chronicles 20, which have different translations in various versions of the Bible. The original Hebrew words used in these verses are crucial for understanding the correct interpretation. In some translations, the term used in 2 Samuel 21 verses 22 is interpreted as descendants of the giant, suggesting a familial relation to Goliath, possibly as his sons. However, in 1 Chronicles 20, one of the giants is explicitly called the brother of Goliath, which is Lahmi, implying a sibling relationship. The confusion arises due to the translation and interpretation of Hebrew terms like Nephilim, meaning giants, and Rapha, which is a proper noun referring to a person, Rapha, the father of several giants. Rapha relates to the word Rephaim, which is a tribe of giants. This is where the confusion comes in, as Rephaim is plural for a tribe. However, if we use the singular noun, which is Rapha, it starts to make sense when we read 2 Samuel 21 and 1 Chronicles 20. Once we understand this information, everything becomes clear. Rapha was a giant who had 5 sons: Goliath, Ishbi-Benob, Saph or Sipai, Lahmi, and the unnamed 24-digited brother. Now, let's take a step back. Canaan was a land teeming with mysteries. According to biblical accounts and archaeological evidence, Canaan was not only the home of Goliath and his brothers, but also of other giant tribes like the Anakim and Rephaim. These tribes are mentioned in various books of the Hebrew Bible, suggesting their significant presence in ancient Near Eastern cultures. The Bible recounts stories of these giants in different contexts, indicating their interaction and conflicts with the Israelites. The Anakim, known for their great size, were said to be descendants of Anak and are mentioned in the context of the conquest of Canaan. The spread of these giant tribes beyond Canaan is a subject of interest for many historians and theologians. Some theories suggest that they migrated to different regions, possibly due to conflicts or environmental changes, leaving traces of their presence in various mythologies and historical accounts. The notion of giants roaming the earth has captured human imagination for centuries, leading to a rich tapestry of folklore and legends that resonate to this day. Let's zoom in on one of these brothers, Lahmi. Lahmi, known primarily as the brother of the famous giant Goliath, appears specifically in 1 Chronicles 20 verses 5. Lahmi's name in the Bible is quite symbolic. Derived from the Hebrew verb, laham, it encompasses dual meanings of to eat and to wage war. This duality reflects the nature of his character and the times he lived in, a period where physical prowess and combat were essential for survival and respect. Interestingly, this verb also relates to the word for bread or food, lihem, tying Lahmi's identity to both sustenance and conflict, essential elements of life in ancient times. His encounter with Elhanan, the son of Jair, is notable. Lahmi, known for his immense size and strength, epitomized the fearsome nature of the giants of Gath. The biblical account emphasizes his formidable presence by describing his spear shaft as being like a weaver's beam, a detail that underscores the extraordinary physical attributes of Lami and his kin. However, despite his might, Lami was slain by Elhanan, one of the mighty men of David, a moment that symbolizes the triumph of skill and courage over brute strength. Ishbi-benob, a figure from the Hebrew Bible, is an intriguing character with a brief but significant mention in the narrative of King David's battles. He is depicted as one of the descendants of the giant from Gath, which, as I touched on before, is Rapha, but often assumed to be Goliath, and is one of the formidable Philistine warriors encountered by the Israelites. The story of Ishbi-benob is found in 2 Samuel 21, verses 16 to 17. He is portrayed as a giant who confronted King David in battle. His formidable presence is highlighted by the weight of his spear, which was 300 shekels of brass, and he was also armed with a new, presumably very sharp, sword. This encounter could have been fatal for David, but David's nephew, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, intervened and killed Ishbi-benob, thus saving the king. This incident led to David's men forbidding him from joining future battles, recognizing the risk to their leader and the potential impact on their military efforts. The name Ishbi-benob itself is quite intriguing and can be broken down into several elements. The first part of the name might derive from the Hebrew verb yashab, which means to sit, remain, or dwell. This verb is often used in the Bible to describe a transition from one state or place to another, particularly in the context of returning or restoring. The second part of the name is less clear but begins with the Hebrew letter, Beth, which typically means in or from. This composition of his name could imply meanings related to sitting, dwelling, or residing, possibly in a specific location or state. Ishbi-benob's story, though only a small part of the larger biblical narrative, offers a glimpse into the ongoing conflicts between the Israelites and the Philistines. Moving on to Saph, Goliath's third brother. Saph, also known as Sippai in some texts, is a character mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, specifically in the context of the Philistine giants. He appears in the narratives of 2 Samuel 21 verses 18 and 1 Chronicles 20 verses 4, which detail the battles between the Israelites and the Philistines. Saph, identified as one of the descendants of Rapha, was slain by Sibbecai the Hushathite, one of David's mighty men. The name Saph itself is quite interesting and holds significance in its etymology. It is derived from the Hebrew noun, sap, which means threshold or outer border. This term is also used for a kind of fire beacon placed on the outer border. The root of this word, sepap, relates to the concept of marking the border between two distinct realms, such as the palisade around a tribal territory, or the fence around a single house. In a broader sense, it signifies the transition between different realms or states. The biblical account of Saph, though brief, adds to the tapestry of stories about giants in ancient times. The fourth giant brother of Goliath, who remains unnamed in the Bible, is part of a narrative that includes other giants slain by David and his men. This unnamed giant is mentioned alongside others like Ishbi-benob, Saph, and Goliath himself in the biblical account. The passage, 2 Samuel 21:15-22, speaks of these large Philistines, suggesting a relation to Goliath. It's interesting to note that the Bible doesn't explicitly name this fourth giant, but indicates his presence among Goliath's kin. The idea that David chose 5 smooth stones in his fight against Goliath due to Goliath having 4 brothers, including the unnamed giant, is a subject of speculation and interpretation. Some believe David was prepared to confront not only Goliath, but potentially his 4 giant brothers as well. This interpretation stems from the biblical description of these giants as related to Goliath and their encounters with David and his warriors in later battles. The inclusion of this unnamed giant in the biblical narrative, though lacking specific details about his identity or exploits, adds to the richness and depth of these ancient texts. What we know is that he was a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all, and was descended from Rapha. It presents a picture of a time when extraordinary figures, such as giants, were not just part of mythology, but were real and formidable opponents in the historical and cultural context of the Bible. What do you think? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.